December 3rd, 1943, somewhere over the Yunnan province, China, Captain James Ghost Mercer's P-40 Warhawk banked hard against the pale morning sky, his wingman's voice crackling through the radio with words that would haunt him for the rest of his life. "Ghost, I'm hit. Engine's gone. I'm going down." James watched Lieutenant Tommy Chen's aircraft spiral toward the jungle canopy below, trailing black smoke like a funeral shroud. 15 Japanese Zero fighters swarmed above like angry hornets, their rising sun markings gleaming in the dawn light. "Tommy, bail out! Bail out now!" The radio went silent. James was alone. One American P-40 against 15 Japanese fighters, 70 miles from base, with barely enough fuel to make it home even if he ran right now. His hands trembled on the control stick, not from fear, from rage. The mission had been simple: escort a supply convoy through the mountains. How had intelligence missed 15 Zeros? This story began 3 hours earlier, but the real question is how James would make it home alive when every tactical manual said he was already a dead man. Before we discover what happened next, this story takes us back to the dangerous skies over China, where American pilots faced impossible odds every day. We'd love to know where you're watching from. Tell us in the comments below. Now let's see how this impossible battle began. James Ghost Mercer, 26 years old, born in Sacramento, California, had joined the Flying Tigers with something to prove, something nobody could know. His sister had married a Japanese-American man 3 months before Pearl Harbor. While Michael Tanaka now sat behind barbed wire in Manzanar internment camp, James flew combat missions against Japan. If anyone discovered this connection, his loyalty would be questioned. His career would end, possibly worse. He kept Michael's letters to his sister hidden in his footlocker, each one a potential court-martial. "All aircraft, this is Razor Lead," James had called 3 hours earlier, leading the morning patrol. "Stay sharp. Intelligence reports enemy activity in Sector 7. "Copy that, Ghost," Tommy Chen had replied. Tommy was 22, fresh-faced, from San Francisco's Chinatown. The kid reminded James of Michael, same optimistic smile, same terrible jokes. They'd been cruising at 8,000 feet when the Zeros appeared. "Bandits, 11 o'clock high," James had shouted. The sky exploded into chaos. Tracer rounds sliced through the air. The sharp crack of cannon fire, Tommy's scream. Now James circled above the crash site, 15 Zeros regrouping above him. His fuel gauge showed 30 minutes, maybe less. His radio crackled with static, then a voice in broken English. "American pilot, you are alone. Surrender, and you will be treated with honor." James looked down at the smoke rising from Tommy's crash. At the wedding photo, tucked into his flight jacket, his sister Sarah and Michael on their happiest day. He pushed the throttle forward and climbed toward the 15 fighters above. "Come on then," he whispered. "Let's see what honor looks like." The first Zero dove toward him, guns blazing. The Zero's bullets stitched across his right wing, punching holes through the aluminum skin. James yanked the stick hard left, feeling the P-40 shudder under the strain. The heavier American fighter couldn't turn with a Zero, but it could dive faster than anything in the sky. He pushed the nose down. The airspeed indicator climbed. 200 knots, 250, 300. The aircraft screamed in protest. 2 Zeros followed him down, firing in short bursts. Come on," James muttered, waiting for the perfect moment. At 4,000 feet, he pulled back hard. The G-forces crushed him into his seat. His vision tunneled. 1 Zero overshot, flashing past his canopy so close he could see the pilot's face. Young, startled, already dead. James squeezed the trigger. His 650 caliber machine guns roared to life. The Zero's wing shattered. It tumbled away, smoking. 14 left. "You murdered my wingman," James screamed into the radio, knowing they could hear him. "You want me? Come take me!" 3 more Zeros dove from above. This time they were smarter, staggering their attack so he couldn't focus on just one. James kicked the rudder, sliding the P-40 sideways. Bullets sparked off his armored seat back. He fired at the lead Zero, missed, rolled inverted and dove again. His fuel gauge dropped. 20 minutes now. I can make it, he told himself. Just keep them busy. But Colonel Henderson's voice echoed in his memory from the briefing last week. If you're outnumbered more than 3-1, disengage. That's an order. Dead heroes don't win wars. James couldn't disengage, not with Tommy dead below, not with 15 Japanese fighters between him and home, not with everything he had to prove. A Zero appeared in his gun sight, perfect deflection shot. He fired, the Zero exploded in a ball of orange flame. 13 left. The Japanese pilots were regrouping, forming into a coordinated attack pattern. They'd stopped being angry. Now they were being professional. That was worse. Ghost to base, he radioed. I'm engaged with multiple hostiles. Chen is down, He paused, calculating odds, fuel, distance. I'm continuing the fight. Ghost, disengage immediately. That's a direct order. Sorry, sir. Radio's breaking up. He switched off the radio. The Zeros came at him from 4 directions simultaneously. James dove into a narrow canyon, the P-40's engine screaming. Rock walls flashed past his wingtips, so close he could see individual stones. 3 Zeros followed him in. 2 pulled up at the last second, but 1 stayed on his tail. Amateur mistake. The canyon twisted right. James banked hard, using the terrain. The Zero pilot tried to match him, but clipped his wing on the canyon wall. The aircraft cartwheeled into the rocks. 12 left. James burst from the canyon into open sky. The remaining Zeros waited above, circling like patient vultures. They'd learned their lesson. Don't chase the P-40 into terrain. His fuel gauge read 15 minutes. Not enough to run. Barely enough to fight. Think, James, think! His sister's last letter flashed through his mind. Michael says to tell you that the bamboo bends but doesn't break in the wind. I don't know what that means, but he made me promise to tell you. Bend, but don't break. The Zeros dove together, 12 aircraft in a coordinated slash attack. James didn't run. He turned toward them, flying straight into their formation. What's he doing? One Japanese pilot radioed in their language. James had studied Japanese in college. Another secret that could get him questioned. The Zeros scattered, unwilling to risk collision. In that moment of chaos, James fired at the nearest target. Another Zero spun away, trailing smoke. 11 left. But his ammunition counter was dropping fast. Maybe 30 seconds of firing time left. A Zero latched onto his 6 o'clock, firing steadily. Bullets hammered his tail section. Warning lights flashed across his instrument panel, oil pressure dropping. James pulled back hard, climbing vertical. The Zero followed. At the top of the climb, James kicked the rudder and let the P-40 stall. He fell backward, inverted, suddenly behind the Zero that had been chasing him. He fired his last burst. The Zero's canopy shattered. 10 left. His guns clicked empty. No, no, no! The remaining Zeros sensed weakness. They closed in from all directions, a tightening noose of bullets and cannon fire. James looked at his instruments. No ammunition, 12 minutes of fuel, oil pressure critical, hydraulics failing. He should eject, survive, spend the rest of the war in a prison camp. But then they'd find Michael's letters. They'd investigate. Sarah would suffer for loving the wrong man. Not happening, he growled. He dove toward the thickest part of the Zero formation, his empty guns pointed forward like a bluff. The lead Zero broke right. Another broke left. They were afraid of a dead man's aircraft. James grinned savagely. That's right. Ghost doesn't die easy. But then he saw what the Japanese pilots had been herding him toward. A 4th group of Zeros, fresh and climbing from below. His radio crackled back to life. Henderson's voice. Ghost, we're tracking your position. We've scrambled a rescue flight, but they're 20 minutes out. Can you hold? James looked at his fuel gauge. 10 minutes. He keyed the mic. Sir, tell my sister I'm sorry. Tell her Michael was right about the bamboo. Ghost, what are you? He switched off the radio again and turned toward the 15 fighters now surrounding him completely. The Zeros formed a perfect sphere around him, staying just out of ramming distance. They knew he was out of ammunition. They were savoring this. James checked his instruments again. 8 minutes of fuel, oil pressure in the red, engine temperature climbing. The P-40's reliable Allison engine was dying. Come on, girl. Stay with me. The lead Zero pilot's voice crackled through the radio in English. Brave man, foolish man, your aircraft is damaged. You have no ammunition, no fuel. Why do you continue? James didn't answer. He was counting zeros, memorizing their positions, calculating angles. We will shoot you down now, the Japanese pilot continued. It will be quick. Honorable. Honor, James muttered. He thought of Tommy's aircraft spinning into the jungle, of Michael behind barbed wire for no crime except his ancestry, of Sarah's tears in her letters. You want to know about honor? James radioed back. I'll show you. He shoved the throttle to maximum. The dying engine coughed, then roared. Black smoke poured from the exhaust. Oil streaked across his windscreen. He dove straight at the 3 Zeros below him. They scattered, but not fast enough. James's right wing clipped 1 Zero's tail. Both aircraft shuddered. The Zero spun away, its rudder gone. 9 left. He's insane! Someone shouted in Japanese. Maybe they were right. But insanity looked a lot like survival when you had no other options. James's engine seized for 3 seconds, a lifetime in combat, then caught again. 5 minutes of fuel, maybe less. 2 Zeros dove from above, their cannon fire tearing chunks from his left wing. The P-40 bucked like a wounded horse. James's head cracked against the canopy. Blood ran down his face. He blinked, trying to clear his vision. The Zero pilots were closing in for the kill. Then his radio erupted with a new voice. Ghost, this is Sabre Flight. We've got your 6. James looked back. 4 P-40s were diving into the fight, guns blazing. The rescue flight had arrived early. Sabre Flight negative, James shouted. I've got 3 minutes of fuel. You'll get yourselves killed for nothing. Shut up, Ghost, and follow us home. 2 Zeros exploded under Sabre Flight's guns. Another broke off, smoking. The remaining 6 scattered, but James's engine chose that moment to quit. The propeller windmilled to a stop. Sudden, terrible silence. Ghost, you're dead stick. Bail out. He looked down. Jungle stretched in every direction. Behind Japanese lines. If he bailed out here, they'd find him. Find Michael's letters. Negative, I'm gliding her home. That's 60 miles. Then I better start now. He pointed the P-40's nose toward the distant mountains, trading altitude for distance. The aircraft was a brick now, falling gracefully, but still falling. 4 Zeros turned back, smelling blood. They dove toward him, guns ready. But Sabre Flight intercepted, their fresh P-40s dancing through the sky. James watched his rescuers fight with everything they had, buying him seconds, then minutes. His altitude dropped. 6,000 feet, 5,000, 4,000. He could see individual trees now, birds scattered from the canopy below. Come on, he whispered to the P-40. We're going home together, or not at all. The Zeros broke off, harassed by Sabre Flight. James glided over the last ridge. Below, through the haze, he saw the airfield. 2,000 feet, 1,000. The field was still 3 miles away, 500 feet. The airfield was still 2 miles away. James's P-40 glided silently through the air, a 15,000-pound projectile with no engine, no power, nothing but momentum and prayer. Ghost, you're not going to make the runway, the tower operator shouted. Bail out now while you have altitude. Negative, tower. I'm bringing her in. Ghost, that's an order. Bail out. James ignored him. Below, he spotted a dried riverbed running parallel to the base. Flat, clear, maybe long enough. Maybe. Tower, I'm putting her down in the riverbed, north side of the field. That's insane. The ground's too rough. It's all I've got. He dropped the landing gear manually, cranking the handle until his arms burned. The gear locked down with a metallic thunk. No flaps, hydraulics were dead. He'd be coming in hot. 300 feet. The P-40's shadow raced across the jungle canopy below, birds scattered. A water buffalo looked up, confused. 200 feet. James could see rocks in the riverbed now. Tree stumps. This was going to hurt. "Sarah, I'm sorry," he whispered, touching the wedding photo in his jacket. "Michael, if I don't make it, take care of her." 100 feet. The riverbed rushed up to meet him. He pulled back on the stick, flaring at the last possible second. The P-40 hit hard. The landing gear collapsed instantly. The aircraft belly flopped onto rocks and dirt, sliding sideways in a shower of sparks and dust. Metal screamed. The right wing caught a tree stump and spun the aircraft around. James's head snapped forward, then back. His harness cut into his shoulders. The canopy shattered. The P-40 slid 200 yards before grinding to a stop in a cloud of dust. Silence. James sat perfectly still, checking his body for injuries. Bleeding from his forehead, shoulder hurt, but alive. Impossibly alive. "Ghost! Ghost! Respond!" The radio still worked somehow. "Tower! Ghost is down and alive. Aircraft is totaled." Cheering erupted over the radio. James unbuckled his harness and climbed out onto the crumpled wing. The P-40 looked like it had been through a meat grinder, bullet holes everywhere, wings shredded, tail section hanging by cables. She'd brought him home anyway. "Good girl," he patted the fuselage. "You earned your rest." A jeep raced toward him from the base, Colonel Henderson standing in the passenger seat. James reached back into the cockpit, grabbing his flight bag. The bag containing Michael's letters. The jeep skidded to a stop. Henderson jumped out, his face red. "Mercer! What the hell was that? You disobeyed direct orders, you—" Henderson stopped, staring at the P-40. At the bullet holes. At the blood on James's face. "How many?" Henderson asked quietly. "Started with 15, sir. Got 3 confirmed, maybe 4. Henderson's expression changed. 15 zeros, 1 P-40, and you flew her home dead stick. "Yes, sir." "You stupid, magnificent bastard." Henderson grabbed James in a bear hug. "Tommy!" James's throat tightened. "He didn't make it, sir." Henderson pulled back, grief flickering across his weathered face. "His family will be proud. So will history." He paused. "Intelligence wants to debrief you. There's also someone here to see you." "Who?" "He says he's from Army Intelligence. Asked for you specifically." Henderson's voice dropped. "James, is there something I should know?" James's blood went cold. His hand tightened on the flight bag. They'd found out about Michael. The intelligence officer sat in Henderson's office, a manila folder open on the desk. Captain Robert Walsh, 35, with the dead eyes of a man who'd seen too many secrets. "Captain Mercer, impressive flying today." Walsh's smile didn't reach his eyes. 15 Japanese fighters. Quite a story. Just doing my job, sir." "Of course." Walsh tapped the folder. "I've been reviewing your file. Sacramento, California. Joined the Flying Tigers 8 months ago. Exemplary record." He paused. "Your sister Sarah lives in Sacramento still, correct?" James's heart hammered. "Yes, sir. Married recently, I understand." There it was. The trap springing shut. "Before the war, sir. To a local man. Michael Tanaka." Walsh said the name like a curse. "Currently residing in Manzanar War Relocation Center, along with his family." Henderson stood by the window, arms crossed, his face unreadable. James couldn't tell if his CO already knew or was learning this now. "Sir, my brother-in-law is an American citizen. He was born in—" "I don't care where he was born, Captain." Walsh leaned forward. "What I care about is why you've been receiving letters from an internment camp and hiding them in your footlocker." James's mouth went dry. They'd searched his quarters. "Sir, those letters are personal correspondence between my sister and her husband. I've been delivering them because the mail service to Manzanar is unreliable. There's nothing treasonous." Walsh pulled a letter from the folder. Michael's handwriting. "Tell your sister that the bamboo bends but doesn't break in the wind. You don't find that coded message suspicious?" "It's Japanese philosophy, sir. Not a code." Or maybe it's instructions. Maybe Michael Tanaka is feeding you information to pass to Japanese pilots. Maybe today's ambush wasn't intelligence failure. Maybe it was arranged. James shot to his feet. That's insane! You think I led my own wingman into a trap? Tommy Chen is dead. Sit down, Captain. Henderson's voice cracked like a whip. James sat, fists clenched. Walsh studied him coldly. Your loyalty is questioned, Mercer. Your connection to an enemy national makes you a security risk. I'm recommending your immediate removal from combat operations pending full investigation. You can't do that, James whispered. I can, and I will. You'll be transferred stateside. Your security clearance revoked. Consider yourself grounded. Henderson cleared his throat. Captain Walsh, with respect, Mercer just survived an impossible engagement. He killed multiple enemy aircraft and brought home intelligence about their tactics. Grounding him now sends the wrong message to the squadron. The message it sends is that fraternizing with enemy nationals has consequences, Colonel. Michael Tanaka isn't the enemy, James said quietly. He's a farmer. He grows strawberries. His father came to America in 1902 and worked railroad construction. Michael was born in Fresno, played baseball in high school, wanted to be a teacher. He looked Walsh in the eye. He's American as you or me. More American, maybe, because he still believes in this country even after we locked him up for looking different. Walsh closed the folder. Your patriotism is touching, Captain. But policy is policy. You're grounded effective immediately. Leave your wings on the Colonel's desk. James unpinned his silver wings slowly, hands shaking. 8 months of combat, 37 missions, 5 confirmed kills, 8 now. All of it meaningless because his sister loved the wrong man. He placed the wings on Henderson's desk. Sir, permission to speak freely? Henderson nodded. Today I faced 15 Japanese fighters alone. I could have run, should have run. But I didn't, because Tommy deserved better, because my country deserves better. James's voice hardened. Michael Tanaka deserves better too, and if that makes me disloyal, then I don't want your loyalty. He walked out. James sat on the runway's edge as the sun set, watching Sabre flight land from their patrol. His P-40's wreckage had been hauled away, leaving only a black scar on the earth where she'd burned fuel and bled oil. His wings were gone. His career was over. Soon they'd transfer him stateside for questioning, investigation, humiliation. Footsteps approached. Henderson sat beside him, holding 2 cups of coffee. Walsh is an idiot, Henderson said. He's following orders, sir. Orders written by frightened men in Washington who think loyalty is about bloodlines. Henderson sipped his coffee. I read Michael's letters, James, all of them. You know what I found? James said nothing. A man who loves his wife, who misses his farm, who asks about the weather and the harvest and whether his dog is okay. Henderson's voice softened, and at the end of every letter, he asks you to keep Sarah safe, to come home alive. I failed him. I'm grounded. Not yet, you're not. Henderson pulled a telegram from his pocket. This arrived an hour ago, from General Chenot himself. He's heard about your engagement today. 15 zeros, 1 P-40, multiple confirmed kills. The press is calling it the Ghost's Last Stand. They want to make you a hero, James. Medal ceremony in 2 weeks. Walsh will block it. Walsh answers to Chenot. Chenot answers to nobody. Henderson grinned. The general's exact words were, I don't care if Mercer's sister is married to Emperor Hirohito himself. That pilot stays in my Air Force. James couldn't speak. You're not grounded, Ghost. You're getting a promotion and a new squadron, one I'm commanding personally. We're forming a special unit for high-risk missions. I want pilots who don't quit when the odds are impossible, pilots like you. But Michael is still in Manzanar, still suffering an injustice, and that's wrong, James. It's deeply, shamefully wrong. Henderson met his eyes. But you can't fix that injustice from the ground. You can't change minds from prison. You fight it by being so damn good, so damn brave, that nobody can question your loyalty. You fight it by proving that America's bigger than fear. James looked at the darkening sky, thinking of Tommy, of Michael, of Sarah's letters begging him to stay safe. "What's the first mission, sir?" Henderson smiled. "Intelligence intercepted radio traffic. The Japanese are planning something big, a major offensive in Burma. We need reconnaissance photos of their staging areas, deep behind enemy lines, 200 miles in, 200 miles out, the most dangerous flying in this theater. When do we leave?" 3 days. "And James," Henderson stood, "bring Michael's letters. Carry them on every mission. Let them remind you what you're really fighting for." James looked at the photo of Sarah and Michael, still tucked in his jacket. Michael's words echoed. "The bamboo bends but doesn't break. He'd bent today. He hadn't broken." "Yes, sir," James said. "I'll be ready." As Henderson walked away, James pinned his wings back on. Henderson had retrieved them from Walsh's desk. They felt heavier now, more meaningful. Somewhere in Manzanar, Michael Tanaka watched the same sunset through barbed wire, trusting his brother-in-law to prove that loyalty wasn't about bloodlines. James wouldn't let him down. 3 months later, James Ghost Mercer stood on a makeshift stage at the airfield, his new squadron assembled before him. The Medal of Valor hung heavy on his chest, alongside his promotion to major. Sarah's letter had arrived that morning, hidden inside military correspondence. "Michael cried when he heard your story. He says you're the bamboo that bent but didn't break. He's proud. I'm proud. Please keep coming home." Colonel Henderson stepped to the microphone. "Gentlemen, Major Mercer has been asked to say a few words about his engagement with 15 Japanese fighters." "Major?" James looked at the young faces before him, pilots fresh from training, eager, frightened, not yet understanding the weight of combat. He thought carefully about his words. "On December 3rd, I made every tactical mistake in the book. I ignored orders. I fought when I should have run. I flew a dead aircraft 60 miles because I was too stubborn to bail out." He paused. "Intelligence called it miracle. The press called it heroism, but I'll tell you what it really was. It was anger. Anger that my wingman died. Anger at an enemy I didn't fully understand. Anger at a world that judges people by their ancestry instead of their character." The pilots shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't the speech they'd expected. "I have a brother-in-law named Michael Tanaka. He's sitting in an internment camp right now, behind barbed wire, because his grandparents came from Japan. He's never been to Japan, doesn't speak Japanese, but he looks like the enemy, so we treat him like one." James's voice hardened. "Every time I climb into a cockpit, I carry his letters. They remind me that this war isn't about hate. It's about protecting the people we love from those who would destroy them. All people, even the ones behind our own barbed wire." Henderson frowned slightly. This was dangerous territory. "I don't hate the Japanese pilots I fight. They're like us, young men following orders, protecting their families, believing their cause is just." James touched his medal. "But I will defeat them. Every single time. Not with hate, but with skill. With courage, with the determination to build a world where nobody judges my brother-in-law by his face instead of his heart." He looked at each pilot. "When you're up there, alone, outnumbered, low on fuel and options, you'll ask yourself why you keep fighting. Find your answer now. Find it in love, not hate. Because hate will burn you up faster than any Zero's guns." Silence. Then one pilot started clapping, then another. Soon the entire squadron was applauding, some with tears in their eyes. After the ceremony, a young lieutenant approached. "Sir, my family is Italian. When the war started, people vandalized our restaurant, called us traitors. I joined up to prove them wrong. Did you?" "Today I did, sir, thank you." James saluted him. "Prove them wrong every day, Lieutenant. That's the job." That evening, James wrote to Sarah, Tell Michael his bamboo wisdom saved my life. Tell him I'm fighting for a day when he can walk free, farm his strawberries, and never apologize for his name. Tell him I'm coming home. All of us are. He sealed the letter and looked at the mission board. Tomorrow, Burma, deep reconnaissance, 15 aircraft in his new squadron, flying into the heart of enemy territory, long odds, dangerous skies, everything to lose. Ghost smiled. He'd faced 15 zeros alone and made it home. With a full squadron, 15 enemy fighters didn't seem so impossible anymore. The bamboo bends, but doesn't break, and neither would he. If you want to see more untold stories from World War II, stories of courage, sacrifice, and the complex humanity behind history's headlines, subscribe to our channel and share this story. These forgotten voices deserve to be heard.